Hello, lovely, and welcome to the Essence of Expression podcast. Get ready to explore insights, lessons, practices, and wisdom from life for life. I'm your host, Arejay, healer, teacher, student, and sage. I'm excited and honored to have you with me on this journey. Let's dive in. So I had my first AI interview recently, and I was talking to some friends about it, and I figured I'd actually share with you guys because they were really interested in what that was like. And we knew, you had an idea that this type of technology would be being implemented this way. And here's the thing, I got off this AI interview and I was just like, did I just get old suddenly overnight? Because I don't like this shit at all. Which is funny and it says a lot, right? Because I actually do enjoy AI. I like working with it. But I didn't like this experience with this AI interview. And first off, I was mad at the company because if you're going to have a person do an AI interview, the least you could do is have an AI generated avatar for the interviewee to talk to. But that's not what they did. So what it was is it's kind of like if you were getting on a Zoom and setting up for Zoom, but no one was on the other end. That's what this interview was like. So I'm sitting staring at my camera and you just see a big screen that's just showing me in the room by myself, right? And the AI interviewer will speak and then the chat transcribes it on the side. It waits for your answer. And then when you're done speaking, you press the space bar and then it transcribes what you've said. And so it was a really weird experience to interview this way. And while I can understand some of the potential thought processes behind employing this technology this way, I'm sure the company thinks, hey, we're saving our people's time. We're doing the preliminary interviews this way. And depending upon when they choose to introduce actual people on their end, they may be making decisions that will cost them more money in the long run, right? Because if they wait too late in this process to do that, what's going to happen is you may have a candidate that's cleared everything you need to clear, but they haven't had the same chance to get to know the company and the type of people that work at the company and the culture. So they haven't had a chance to really vet and see if the company is a good fit for them, right? So I did this interview. It was weird because normally when you're in an interview, you have someone in front of you, so you can see the feedback. You have some sort of feedback, even if they're not saying anything. You can have an expression where hey, their eyes are kind of maybe wrinkling a little bit because they're a little confused with what you're saying, and you can redirect yourself, right, to make sure that you're staying on track to the question. And there's more of a dynamic back and forth that's allowed to happen. And you don't get that, especially when they didn't even do an AI avatar. You're just on the screen, so you're just answering this question. And really what this interview felt like is I was I don't really understand why we're doing it this way. Y'all could have just put the questions and had me record a video and send it to you for all intents and purposes, right? Because yes, I can ask the AI questions about the job, but in this particular instance, I did that and it couldn't answer any of my questions. The only answer it had to give me was, oh, that can be asked at a later stage, or, oh, that information, I don't have that information, and, at a later stage. So I really didn't learn anything more about the company or about the position because the AI didn't have the answers. It wasn't programmed with any of the answers. So that was a very weird experience because normally you can walk away and be I get a better feel for what they do and what the company is. And yes, I've looked at it already, but it's not that it had that much info to begin with, right? And there are certain nuances that you're going to have questions for their company. And I don't know if they just didn't anticipate it or if the AI interviewing tech that they're using is just not there yet or what. But all my questions I had, it couldn't answer. So like, what was the point of me asking them? Why is this an interview style? Like, you could have just had me submit my answers via video to you. Because that's the same experience. Like, what I got back on my end, the amount of feedback I was able to get from this interview, it was nothing. So I think it's a very interesting use case. Again, if you were going to do like, hey, let's go with the AI interview, the very least you could do is give it one actual avatar so that your candidate has something to look at and interact with, as opposed to just this random voice that just pops on and then types out on the screen. And two, you could have programmed some information on questions. Like, some of these are pretty basic questions that you'd normally have as an interviewee about the company, to program that in, because it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, honestly, I don't even care to hear back from this company about this job, because like, if that's what working with you is going to be like, ew, very much ew, and no thank you. It just didn't feel really thought out or put together to me. And you would be amazed, like, it wasn't until after I did the AI interview that you realize how much feedback and information interviewees actually get during like an in-person interview. So that's my take, and I hope that companies that do decide to use this tech do plan to implement like real people interaction early on in the process, because otherwise you're going to get that candidate, you're going to get them like all the way through. Maybe you even get them hired, right? Because they still think it's fine, and like the few people that they've come in contact with, it's like, okay, great. And then they get into the job and realize that, hey, I don't match this culture. Hey, I don't match these people. This is not for me. This feels very toxic to me. But it's all stuff that like normally they'd have that feedback throughout the entire process that they don't. And so what can potentially happen if companies aren't timing this right is going to be, you get the candidate in, you go ahead, you pay for all the background checks and whatever else, and then get them through the onboarding process, which is time for your people, time for them, probably other expenses, because if you have to have like ID badges or clearances or whatever, pay all that money to get them through, get them in, get them situated, and like in a month they're like, peace out, because this is crappy and I don't like this environment and it's not a match for me. But I didn't get to know that because I was being automated through the process. So that was my insight, my take. It wasn't a really great experience. I was actually, one of my friends, it was funny, she's she was saying that it makes no sense to her that like human resources is a thing that you want to automate out when human is actually in the title of the department, which I kind of agree. At some point you might be doing more harm than good with the way you're choosing to leverage the technology, right? And that was I just wanted to share that experience. It was super bizarre, and again, it honestly felt like a really big waste of my time because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to get this job, but I'm not getting any feedback for me, right? Because interviewing is a two-way process usually, and this wasn't. This was it kind of felt like the person, like when you go on a date and the other person just doesn't stop talking, but they also never ask you anything about you. That's what this interview felt like. But it felt like I had to be that person that never stopped talking. And then when I did ask about it, like, got blown off because, hey, like, that'll be later in the process. Anyway, new experience in the books. Don't like it. Not a fan. But take that for what you will. So I just wanted to share that experience with you because we are starting to see it used. It was a weird way to do it. I would love to hear if any of you have had a different AI interview, like maybe where they actually took the time to create like an AI twin and have an avatar there so that you didn't just feel weird and just talking to yourself, looking at yourself, talking to yourself, which is funny because it's not that I'm unfamiliar with that experience, right? Like I make videos and put them online where all I'm doing is talking into the camera on the phone, or all I'm doing is talking into the camera on my computer. And even right now as a podcast, like I am talking to a mic. I am alone in a room by myself. And I do know who I'm talking to, right? But they're not present. You guys aren't here. And it doesn't bother me, but this felt vastly different, and it was just bizarre. Thank you for your time and attention. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show. If someone came to mind while you were listening to this episode, please take a moment to share it with them. If you're interested in joining a community and diving further into these topics, please visit theessenceofexpression.com/community and request to join our community group. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night or day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.